Logan McNaney has backstopped top-ranked Maryland throughout a sparkling season. The KG netminder answered the Big Ten semifinal challenge against Johns Hopkins Thursday. His high-scoring namesake, Logan Wisnauskas, has been record-setting this spring. The last time he faced Rutgers, the Terps' #1 truly became #1 on their all-time points list. Head coach John Tillman, back in the championship match, looking for a first-time achievement. The Terrapins have won their titles on the road, something no Big Ten team has ever done at home. Brian Brecht and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights confidently stand in the way of history-making. With his squad needing a rally in its semifinal, Mitch Bartolo took the Knights on his back. The giant-sized attackman would overcome Ohio State with 4 second-half strikes. The lead then his to protect. First-team All-Big Ten goalie Colin Kearse saved his best for last, extinguishing one final gasp from the Buckeyes and earning Rutgers this chance at the crown. That's a whole lot of turtle power, and this is the Big Ten Men's Lacrosse Tournament. Tonight, the #1 ranked team in the nation and the #1 seed in this tournament, the Maryland Terrapins, are set to scrap in the Big Ten championship game against the second-seeded Scarlet Knights of Rutgers, who have a score to settle on the Big Ten Network. It is so great to see you again. Along with Mark Dixon, I'm Joe Beninati, and it's a treat for us to be involved in this title game. Rutgers has suffered so much heartbreak against Maryland. Mark, what's necessary for them to finally break through?
Wow, I mean, you talk about Rutgers, only one all-time win against Maryland. It came in 1980. They haven't beaten the Terps since the formation of the Big Ten Men's Lacrosse Conference. It starts mentally, and I think one area where Rutgers can breathe a sigh of relief, I think they're already in the NCAA tournament, so they don't have that point of anxiety on their minds. But then it becomes all physical. Ground balls, face-offs, defense, goaltending, good shooting. We've said it so many times this year, Joe, and it still applies tonight. Rutgers is going to have to play a near-flawless game to knock off the Terps.
No doubt. And the top goalie in the conference guards their interests. It's Colin Kearse, who has the ability to stonewall any offense.
He sure does, and we saw that on Thursday night against Ohio State. I feel like when the stakes get higher, Kearse elevates his play. He's a big reason why they're in this championship game.
The Terrapins keeper is no slouch. The remarkable Logan McNaney getting stronger and stronger as these tournaments progress.
He has been terrific, and he's just a model of consistency for this Maryland lacrosse team, for this Terp defense, and he has athleticism that he surprises us seemingly every time out with more athleticism, more dynamic plays, but he is certainly a talented goaltender.
Unbeaten and unanimous #1 on a rainy, raw night this Saturday evening in College Park under the direction of John Tillman. A dozen seasons pushing the buttons for the Terps, and so successful. Straight up, heads up against Brian Brecht and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. A program record-winning season for Coach Brecht. His guys trying to take down the unbeaten Terrapins.
You know, you almost equate Rutgers to Penn State in the 2019 year, where Penn State, a bunch of firsts. You know, first ever Big Ten tournament game win, Big Ten tournament championship weekend appearance. Can Rutgers break through tonight with a first ever? That's their first ever win against Maryland as members of the Big Ten.
Luke Weirman wins the draw. Maryland in the white gets the initial offensive possession. The officials are Hans Wittelsberger, Chris DeFelice, and Chris 𝗵𝗕. #1 team in the land has the #1 scoring offense in the country. When they met earlier in the season, Maryland struck swiftly with a brilliant opening quarter. DeMaio off the hitch. Bringing it around for Donville, rolling against Kamish. Nice pass inside. Wisnauskas gets the home team off to a flying start.
How many times have we seen this? Early in the games, it happened on Thursday night against Johns Hopkins. It happens again here this evening. Where they move Wisnauskas in this offense is like a chess piece. And he goes just a difference of like 3 yards. He was standing around the 14-yard line. He runs down and just slips down to the 10 underneath that Rutgers defense. No one picks up big number 1. Groot catches it, Groot shoots, Groot scores. Maryland out to the lead.
39 seconds into the contest, here comes Wiedemann again. Right off the draw, bang to the outside of the cage. That was Murphy firing the rocket. Scarlet Knights dodge the bullet. At the bottom of the screen, you're seeing Brian Breck's starters. First offensive possession for the guys in the red jerseys.
Nice job clearing that ball. The middle of the field. Maryland has gotten more aggressive as the season has gone on with their ride.
Ross Scott with it, kicks it back behind the cage. Brian Cameron and Mitch Bartolo. It's a high-powered, high-octane attack for Rutgers. Among the top 8 scoring teams in the nation in their own right. Looking to answer the early salvo from Wisnauskas. Bartolo, who was the second half hero for Rutgers, wheels in and fires and stings the corner.
~6'6", Mitch Bartolo lit up Ohio State on Thursday night with just time and room shots for the most part. This time he shows another weapon in his quill against Brett Makar at the top. That's just a straight right to left. Maryland doesn't slide. They have all the confidence in the world in Brett Makar, and Bartolo shoots it high to high and whips it past McNaney. Beautiful individual effort.
And he's mighty pumped up about it. He had 1 goal in the first meeting against Maryland. The Terps knocking off Rutgers, that was then number 3 in the nation. 17-9 final here at Maryland Stadium. Scarlet Knights in the red. Bartolo attacked on the sideline, and this will be Maryland possession.
And that's the type of stuff you can't do. If you're Rutgers and Mitch Bartolo, you just make a gigantic play, and then just a simple exchange pass to get the ball down and start your offense again, and Bartolo drops it. He can't pick up the ground ball. Those are the kind of things that Maryland just feast on you with.
Keegan Kahn will loop it over the top. Second midfield on for Maryland, normally featuring Jack Brennan and Jack Chorus. On the run, this is Chorus, inverting back behind the cage. Molliver picked up by Jared Jean Felix. Chorus off the split, keeps it hot for Brennan. Kamish on the run with him. Impressive short stick D midfielder. Off the curl, bang, bang! Maryland right back on the board, it's Chorus.
Well, Thursday night in the semifinal against Johns Hopkins, Jack Chorus was a little snake bit, hit 2 pipes, and there was one early in the first quarter that he hit, but this time he cashes in. Brennan, just with that feed behind it, and Chorus, such a talented cutter. His timing and his angles are terrific as a midfield cutter. He gets found by Wisnauskas and slips it past Kirst.
11 goals now on the season for Chorus, all of them at even strength. Maryland one better than Rutgers, just getting going in the Big Ten Tournament Championship game. DeMaio gets the draw from Luke Wiedemann.
But you better believe that the Rutgers coaching staff was watching the face-off film as best they could for Johns Hopkins, as Naruski was able to go 50-50 with Luke Wiedemann. So DeMaio, I'm sure, probably trying to replicate some of those moves, those motions, anticipation of the whistle, and that served him well in that face-off, because if you can make Luke Wiedemann mortal, that just gives you that much better of a chance to be successful.
Amon on the go here, sweeping, playing catch with Nick Tereski. Tereski likes to invert. Here he attacks from the top, swinging on around for Bartolo. Getting a touch, it's Mike Sanguinetti. Sanguinetti for Bartolo, who has the Rutgers tally in the early stages of this game, just shy of the 4-minute mark. Scott on the run against Zapatello, and that's snuffed out by Logan McNaney.
Yeah, we saw Russ Scott score a couple of goals Thursday night, and he continued upfield to give himself a better angle. I thought that time he shot the ball a little prematurely, but it's interesting the matchups. Zapatello gets Ross Scott, Makar Bartolo, and then of course Rahill. That leaves him on the third attackman for Rutgers, and either 𝗕𝗶𝗴 or Brian Cameron, whoever they're going to flip-flop in between that position.
Terps will settle in 6-on-6. Anthony DeMaio on the hop. Hammered there on the outside. 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗲 caught playing defense here. DeMaio feeds Wisnauskas. Lets it go. He buzzed it wide of 𝗕𝗏𝗧. Backed up neatly by Khan. He'll keep it hot for 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗲𝗏. 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 gets to the interior, and that's a save for Colin 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗧.
Great job by 𝗕𝗏𝗏. Read it all the way. Low to low offering. 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 was quiet against Johns Hopkins on Thursday night. Looks like he was trying to get involved in the game early. Not a bad shot. Terrific save by 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏.
Two guys on the all-conference team meeting there. 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏's second team. 𝗕𝗏𝗏, first team All-Big Ten netminder. Off the turnover, forced at midfield by 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Maryland gets another whack, a chance to build on a one-goal lead.
Yeah, don't like that move by 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 fires, straightening up 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 there to make the save, and he goosed the ball down, and away comes Rutgers on the clear.
𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 is seeing the ball well, great reaction, but 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 back to that clear. Why split two players at the midfield line when you can take an angle and get to the outside? It's like a running back in football. Instead of trying to squeeze between two tacklers, if you can make a fake and then get to, break it to the outside, you have a much better chance of running the green.
That's Mark Dixon. I'm Joe Beninati. Glad you've tuned in there with us. Lacrosse on the Big Ten Network. A Saturday night in College Park. Temperatures in the mid-40s. Rainy and raw conditions. 𝗕𝗏𝗶𝗴 slithers back to the middle. Bartolo working in against Makar, the Big Ten Defender of the Year. 43 in the white. A to the outside. Another one that cooks the corner from 𝗕𝗏𝗶𝗴.
Rutgers has come to play. Rewind a couple weeks ago, and the score at this juncture, I believe, was 5-2, 5-1 in favor of Maryland. Credit 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 with a couple of nice saves. And we saw this on Thursday night, the tandem of Bartolo and 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, but it was more from the wings versus operating from up top. But this is great mirror offense. And what I mean by that is, as Bartolo dodges towards 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 just kind of leaks out and mirrors Bartolo, almost like they're on a string offensively. Nice feed, great finish. Rutgers ties it up.
Luke Weirman trying to win the draw from 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. You saw the big numbers on the board for 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. A terrific goal scorer now in the mid-30s. He has tallies in 15 of the 16 games this season. Only Hofstra kept him off the board.
Consistency right there with 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. 27 seniors, Joe. 27 seniors honored a couple weeks ago in the home finale for the Scarlet Knights against Penn State. This is a veteran, experienced team, but so is Maryland. This is a group with a lot of fifth years, a lot of graduate students, transfers. It's almost like looking in the mirror at one another when these two teams face themselves.
Both of these schools have profited from the transfer portal greatly this season. Jack Brennan on the move, trying to get to the alley against Kamich. Gene Felix there to defend on Murphy in tight quarters with Wisnauskas. The all-time Maryland point scorer, Wisnauskas to his right, fires and scores! Logan Wisnauskas.
After the game Thursday night, I just reviewed the stat lines, reviewed what happened in the game, and Logan Wisnauskas 7 points. And I think at this point, we have to recognize that, ladies and gentlemen, this is your front runner for the 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 trophy. No matter where he is on the field, no matter who he is matched up with, he's had success. This is a dodge against a short stick with the stick in his quote-unquote weak hand. He just cruises across the face of the goal, whips it high to high against the Big Ten goalie of the year and pace the corner.
Precipitation picking up. You can tell by the helmet of Wisnauskas as we closed in for that shot. He's factored in on all three Maryland markers. With possession, Ray Hill with a good scoop. Running for cover now, getting into the offensive set.
We want to talk about man ball. 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 just steamrolled one of the Rutgers attackmen in order to create that continued loose ball situation. 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, such a hammer. at the short stick defensive midfield position for the Maryland Terrapins.
Wisnauskas now, Mark, 55 straight multi-point games for him. Long with a good speed, trying to work underneath. Wraps. 𝗧𝗲 made the save. The defense was turned in there by Daninger. Ground ball scoop nicely claimed by Russo. Shovels it along. Long stick midfielder Remington Reynolds ran out of real estate. And this will be Maryland ball.
Good ride by Kyle Long. Just good checks. Used his speed to stay in front of Reynolds.
DeMaio fires and scores! From down under, Anthony DeMaio.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Oftentimes you can't tell Kyle Long and Anthony DeMaio from each other just because they're the same size, incredible athleticism, wonderful speed. Turnover created by Kyle Long. Maryland is then whistle ready. They just restart it. DeMaio cruises into the box. No one's going to pick him up. Worm burner. Between the wickets of Colin 𝗧𝗏, and Maryland is doubling up Rutgers.
Points in every game this season for DeMaio. Maryland, an unbeaten mark at 13-0. Tangling with 13-2 Rutgers. Wehrman wins the draw, comes right to the cooker. Sent that one high.
I mean, that last play is just so emblematic of what Maryland is capable of doing. You have a great Russo backhand pass, a nifty handle by Reynolds. You think he's going to take the angle and just cruise down the sideline and clear the ball successfully. No, Long knocks him out of bounds, and all of a sudden, the ball's in the back of your net, and you've given up a goal.
Molliver on the dead run against Rawl, the outstanding long stick midfielder for Rutgers, 29 in the red. Brennan on the hop, working against 𝗕𝗄𝗃. 𝗕𝗃, who's tallied in this opening quarter, which has 6:20 left in it. Tough catch there for Wisnauskas, and 𝗧𝗏 comes racing out of the cage to ignite this clear for Rutgers. On target for 𝗕𝗄𝗃, the senior from Michigan. Bartolo loosens his grip from Makar. Scott is next against 𝗕𝗶𝗃. Shane Knobloch will take it for a walk, picked up by 𝗵𝗃.
These are two guys, 34 in red, 27 in red. Gallagher and Knobloch, they need to have big nights tonight. Timely plays, they both showed up in big ways on Thursday against Ohio State.
Knobloch off the roll, 𝗵𝗃 hedging out. Fairman is there, short stick defensively for Maryland. Here's the All-Oregon matchup, Scott against 𝗕𝗶𝗃.
How cool is that?
I love it.
Two top players from the Pacific Northwest.
Gallagher was knocked down by Fairman, sent that one high. Shot clock's at 24 now for Rutgers, trailing Maryland by 2. As Brian Cameron will get things restarted. He had a goal and an assist in Rutgers' semifinal win over Ohio State a couple days ago. With the NCAA tournament picture drawing near, all eyes on Ohio State's candidacy.
To me, it's a no issue. I think Ohio State is in when you look at what their RPI may end up being, and then you have head-to-head wins over Notre Dame and Harvard, two teams that are in good position. They're on the bubble firmly. I just think at some point when you have like numbers in the RPI category, common sense has to come in. When you have head-to-head victories, isn't that what it's all about? If I play you and I beat you head-to-head, I should have that advantage over you. If all of the things are darn near equal, and that's what it is in my opinion. So Ohio State, to me, it should be in the NCAA tournament.
As will these two squads on field right now in the Big Ten Tournament Championship game. Maryland unanimously #1 in the land and the top seed in the tournament. DeMaio on the feed. Long gets the alley. Sends that one wide of the cage. It's backed up by Keegan Khan, closest to the ball. Wehren, when it leaves the field on a shot, maintains possession for Maryland. On the dead run against Russo. Khan goes inside on the roll. Here comes the help. Jared Jean-Felix flattened Keegan Khan. Nice defensive stand there for Rutgers, but they fail to clear. Another huge hit that was doled out. That was Brian Boswell, and there's a flag down It's going to be extra man for Maryland.
Business certainly has picked up here, and if you're Rutgers, you're lamenting failed clears.
DeMaio inside! He scores! Second of the quarter for Anthony DeMaio.
Second time DeMaio has made Rutgers pay for sloppy clearing. And it's resulted in a 5-2 lead. We'll figure out what the flag is, but Donville racing across that end line. Then DeMaio just uses his quickness, stays in his left hand. The stick just gets right on the doorstep, slams it home. And Maryland establishing some space between them and the Scarlet Knights.
Lacrosse on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by State Farm. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The battle for a Big Ten men's lacrosse tournament title unfolding here this evening in College Park. And when we look at the effects seasonally, the home team has never really tasted success.
We both did a double take when we were, revisited this information in preparation for this game. It's crazy to think about in the history of the Big Ten tournament that the home team has never taken home the trophy. Obviously, Maryland is in great shape, and we'll see if they can break that trend. Cross-check on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. There we see the high hit delivered by 𝗕𝗶𝗴. So, goal for Maryland and a man-up face-off for the Terps. This is, I know it's early, but when you're playing Maryland, this is critical time. And this is a huge break for the Scarlet Knights. The referee just doesn't like the way Maryland is lined up, and Rutgers gets the ball without even having to toil with a 2v3 face-off. So this is gigantic for Rutgers.
Maryland was 0 for 2 in its semifinal win on the extra man against Johns Hopkins. They're 43.2% effective, a man up this season. The Terps, with the last 3 goals on the board in a little bit less than 4.5 minutes, have a 5-2 advantage on home turf tonight.
And Maryland has elected not to double the ball. They're cool with Rutgers bleeding the shot clock down and then probably having to throw the ball away, if not attack, as this penalty continues to be served by Rutgers.
Jacoby stalked there by Higgins, the short stick D-mid for Maryland. 5-2 if you're just tuning in. Wisnauskas and DeMaio each with 2 tallies on the board for the Terps. Scarlet Knights strikes from Jacoby and Bartolo as they circle it up and get into their set. Back now 6-on-6. Bartolo ran right into a brick wall. Takeaway on the go. 𝗕𝗶𝗴 driving in, feeds. Coming late, slow break. Ray-Hill uncorked that one. Goes to the goal. Fantastic stop by Kezz.
Wow, how many times do we ever get that back as a pole? You shoot it, the rebound comes right to you. You go right down Baltimore Avenue, and there's Kezz with excellent hands denying Matt Ray-Hill the long stick midfield goal.
Not often do you see the long stick midfielder get in there one-on-one.
No. How about that handle on the rebound from Ray-Hill? The unsung hero, really, of this Maryland defense. The guy's been here forever, and you rarely talk about him. Guy can shoot, though. He's not used to shooting that in close like that, Joe. He's used to those 60-yard darts.
That's true.
On the 10-man ride.
Coach Tillman says he is super smooth, though, and he showed good hands there. Knobloch, a little bit more than 30 seconds with which to work on the shot clock. Knobloch rolling against Ray-Hill, who keeps him at stick's length. Bartolo against Makar. Sails that one wide. McNaney sprinting for it. The officials will keep it Rutgers ball with 22 seconds to shoot.
You could see Knobloch wanted to go underneath on Ray-Hill that time. He was thinking about it. Then he chose to pull it back out. But I'd like to see him take that chance.
Gallagher sends it back up top. It'll get away from Bartolo. 𝗕𝗶𝗴 is there to kick it along. And further still for Higgins to drive back. Maryland gets an offensive touch as we are late in the opening quarter, less than a minute in it, in fact.
Aside from that goal that he had, Bartolo's stick work has been dreadful in the last couple times down. He lost that ball, on the sideline, and then that's the second time he has just mishandled the ball at the top of the offense, leading to a turnover. Bartolo, I don't know if the weather has affected his stick or if it's nerves, but he's got to settle himself down.
Terps holding for the final possession. Drizzly conditions, cold, rainy, windy throughout the day and weekend here in the Mid-Atlantic region. The drive from DeMaio, he sailed it high. This is the hardest the rain has come down while the teams have been in action tonight.
It can affect the stick.
On the dead run, long, kick it inside, that's knocked away, good defense. Sprinting ahead, brawl with it, at the horn, stopped by McNaney.
Logan McNaney doing Logan McNaney things. Great hustle, tremendous speed by Ethan Raw, but Logan McNaney just eats it up and keeps Rutgers at 2 goals.
So many all-conference talents between these two teams. Maryland entertaining Rutgers. Brian Breck with a big smile on his face. We've played 15. It's 5-2 Terps. Tomorrow, the Big Ten Women's Lacrosse Tournament Championship is on the line. Don't miss the live coverage tomorrow, noon Eastern, on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Rutgers and Maryland on the men's side, Rutgers and Maryland on the women's side, and a whole lot of rain in that semifinal.
Whether it's Piscataway or College Park, we have been pelted by the raindrops, but man, how about the Rutgers women last night taking it to Northwestern? But the Maryland Terrapins, they are looking to reclaim their perch atop the Big Ten.
They are so good, Maryland, when it comes to putting a team under its thumb in the opening quarter.
They really are, and this is where Rutgers really needs to hunker down and start chipping away at this Maryland lead. They need to take better care of the ball. Need to take better care of the ball against these Terps.
Mistake-prone Rutgers, 7 turnovers in the opening quarter. Weirman gets the draw. Kahn has his defender hung up. Bobby Russo in an unenviable position there, stacked in tandem with Colin Kirst. Kahn picking and choosing, going through his options. Kahn gets topside, hatcheted there on the double from Rawl. Terps will balance up now. DeMaio with Long. First midfield unit, usually rounded out by Jonathan Donville. Murphy's been seeing more and more time at attack. Spins this ball up top. There's Donville straight away against Francowiak. DeMaio and Wisnauskas each with a pair in the opening quarter. 5-2 Terps on top. Big Ten tournament title on the line tonight here in College Park. Maryland showing its patience now. Shot clock at 20, inside, great save. Her shuffled over beautifully.
Unbelievable backdoor cut by Kyle Long, and Maryland just moving the ball so well, but Kirst, a brick wall. Beautiful save. And how about that handle by Francowiak? He made 3 or 4 saves, Joe, on Thursday night that just really separated himself from other athletes on the field. It was a big reason why Rutgers was able to come back against Ohio State. What a handle.
Brian Breck will tell you the guys in his short stick defensive midfield stable are players. Top-notch talents. To the alley goes Gallagher. Does a little bit of everything for Rutgers. Floated now, this drive kicked away by McNaney. Another zip shot from Ronan Jacoby, who can bring it.
Yeah, it looked like Jacoby, that placement wasn't exactly where he wanted it to be, and that was a shot he was hitting consistently in the first half against Ohio State Thursday night. McNaney was able to read that, though, and make the stop.
Alex Smith will bring it ahead. Grad student who missed the first 5 games of the season due to injury. Looks like he's moving a lot better than when we first saw him on Big Ten Network.
He made a play on Thursday evening, a one-on-one. That was just a weight room play. He just tossed a Hopkins midfielder. Defensively, the Hopkins player had the ball. Smith took his lunch money like it was nobody's business. And I think he is really health-wise rounding into form, making this shorty unit so much more formidable for the Terps.
Keegan Kahn on the feed. Wisnauskas bulldozing inside, right into the heart of the Rutgers defense. They step in and take the ball away. Jared Jean Felix.
I love the physicality of this Rutgers defense tonight so far. They are putting body on body, creating loose ball situations, and they're doing a wonderful job of picking up the GB. This is where they've run into trouble in the first quarter, the clearing game, and that was a nice successful one. So good job by the Scarlet Knights, but then offsides.
We've played 18 minutes. This is going to sound strange for me saying Maryland only has 5 goals on the board. Usually in the first 18 minutes, they are efforting towards double figures.
Yeah, normally by this time they've put their thumb on the opponent and kind of held them down a little bit, but credit Colin Kirst. You know, the Colin Kirst in the first game was, I don't want to call him shaky, but his defense was giving up a lot of close-range shots, and he was struggling to make stops. Tonight, the defense has ratcheted up their effort, and he's certainly come to play.
Terps get on the board. Wisnauskas giving acknowledgement. Maryland has the 6-2 advantage.
The Rutgers defense on this possession just looked tired. They looked like they didn't get the blow that they would have needed had Rutgers been able to get an offensive set. Ďaňovill just cruises, and there's Wisnauskas just fading out the backside. You gotta find number 1 if you were the Rutgers defense. Poor communication, they lose track of the big man, and he sticks it.
Wisnauskas, 37 career tricks in 71 games with the Terps. 𝗕𝗶𝗴 driving back in for Maryland, now on top 6-2. The Terrapins have won their last 20 games when leading after the opening quarter. They had a 5-2 advantage tonight.
The first meeting between these two teams was 5-0 Maryland before you could even, we could even like get used to our headsets. Then Rutgers scored 2 quick ones to make it 5-2. They had an opportunity to make it 5-3. But then Maryland got a great save from McNaney, came down and scored, and that sealed the deal. We're at 6-2 again here, and Rutgers has not had an offensive possession so far in the second quarter.
They haven't scored in upwards of 14 minutes, the guys in the red jerseys. Good defensive stand there, though. The defensive play turned in by Brennan Kamish. And now Rutgers can turn its attention to cracking Logan McNaney in the Maryland D.
It's a much-needed turnover for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Now it's time to settle in, take care of the ball, work this offense. When they are handling the ball, they can make McNaney work. But there's Bartolo again.
𝗕𝗏 looking to rip him off. The graphic showed you when last Rutgers was on the board. Knobloch wants to change it now. 15 minutes of drought time for the Scarlet Knights. 5 minutes into the second quarter.
I'd like to see Ross Scott get on track. 𝗕𝗏 𝗧𝗲. We saw him come around the goal in the first quarter. Needed an extra half or full step to get a better angle, but I think he might be able to take advantage of that matchup.
𝗕𝗏 fidgets to the alley, content to kick it for Scott. Swing it on around. From the top, it'll be Knobloch. 15 seconds in the shot clock. Trading him off to Higgins. Knobloch keeps it back behind the cage. Cameron, the transfer in from North Carolina. 𝗕𝗏 on the double, helping 𝗕𝗏𝗃. Nice defensive work by the Terrapins.
Textbook double. Cameron got to goal line extended, turned back to throw it behind the cage, and the old saying in the old back rack helmets, when you see the laces, that's when you go. Now it's when you see the Cascade logo, and that's exactly what 𝗕𝗏 did. Bum rushed Cameron, puts it on the turf, and Maryland with another caused turnover.
6-2 advantage, 6 minutes into quarter 2. Brennan sprints back behind. He'll leave it in the cross of Moliver. Moliver turns the corner. No shooting room. Jared Jean Felix attached to him. Brennan working in, angled there. Ball that gets away from Chorus as he's bothered by 𝗵𝗏. 𝗵𝗏, who came in from D3 powerhouse Salisbury. Murphy off the split. Shot clock is at 12. Wisnauskas inside. Moliver had it rejected. And away come the Scarlet Knights.
That's the versatility of Moliver and Murphy. Both can handle poles and both feast on long stick or short stick matchups. That time, though, Rutgers hunkered down and was able to knock the ball down before it got to the cage. And I think Brian Brecht has seen enough. He wants to talk it over with his troops.
Timeout called, nearing the midway mark of the second quarter. We'll get you back to Maryland Stadium in a moment with the Terps on top. Northwestern having an outstanding season on the softball diamond. 6-2, Maryland has the lead in this Big Ten Men's Championship Tournament game. Logan Wisnauskas, as always, leading the way for Maryland.
He's just slowly climbed the charts, and now is his time. This is his team, especially on the offensive end, has worked his tail off to become, now that Chris Gray for the University of North Carolina, the all-time NCAA leading scorer. I think he's a Tewaaraton finalist, but Carolina might not be playing the rest of this season. And Logan Wisnauskas is, and I think that the Tewaaraton is now within the grasp of Logan Wisnauskas. What a way to cap his career if he is able to capture that. But he's got his eyes on a bigger prize, and that is a Big Ten title, and then, of course, the ultimate, the national championship.
𝗕𝗵𝗴 looking after Scott. Scott with those lightning fast feet. Great quickness. Delivers it back behind the cage. Amon trying to roll. Maycar was hedging in his direction. Cameron stalked by Bubba Fairman, now doing it at the defensive end this season for the Terps. 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗲 content to loop it back behind. Scott will ignite against 𝗕𝗵𝗴. Shot clock down to 8. Working in on the swim, Bartolo. Severe angle, Krabylski with it. 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗲 long range, that heater goes wide as the shot clock was expiring.
𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗲 is not the guy you want taking that shot, but
we're in this Big Ten Tournament Championship game. 2016, they lost to Maryland. On that occasion, 14-8. 7-2 right now for the Terps on home turf in the white jersey.
Self-inflicted wounds. I mean, we saw this in the first half against Ohio State Thursday night. You take a timeout, and then you get an illegal procedure penalty to a turnover. Rutgers right now is just discombobulated on the offensive end of the field. They really need to get it together.
Discombobulated. Fun word to say.
You know, with all this RPI stuff and trying to figure it out,
That'll get you discombobulated.
I feel like I've been studying for the SAT. More the math end of it, but you know, I guess it leaked over into the verbal section as well.
Donville takes the pitch. Donville against Kamish, backing in. Long is next, off the roll dodge. Long, sprinting, firing over the top, just missed it there. Backed up beautifully by Kahn. Keeping it hot for Donville. He barrels into traffic, drawing a couple defenders. Donville steps back and fires. He whistled that one wide.
He's just been off a little bit. He was quiet in the win over Hopkins on Thursday, and tonight he just really hasn't seemed to get into a groove. How about that, though?
Yeah.
Wow. that would have been groovy had it gone.
Definitely.
He's such a tremendous stick handler.
Goals in 11 of 13. Notre Dame and Hopkins keeping him off the sheet. Tough catch there. Kirst shuffles over, makes the stop on Kahn. Jared Jean Felix runs to daylight, then runs out of real estate. Ran right into a turnover is what he did. Unsettled situation. Wisnauskas sprints to the end line with 52 seconds left in the half.
All the bounces right now are going Maryland's way. Credit Jean Felix with a tremendous ground ball. Looked like he was going to get away with an athletic play, but Maryland, they are just getting all the bounces, and they're taking the game to Rutgers.
Terps will take the timeout. They can have the remaining time in the second quarter. With the overlap of the shot clock not affecting them, they can have the last possession. John Tillman's team. A bit more than 9 minutes to go in the opening quarter. John Tillman, class of 91 at Cornell, by the way. There's the drought mentioned for the Scarlet Knights. Over the top, snared by Kahn. Donville scores!
That's how you score coming out of a timeout. And we mentioned Jonathan Donville has been a little bit on the schneid over the last quarter and a half, but man, what a well-scripted play. Nice little throwback. Keegan Khan with the one-handed snare, and Donville just sneaks down that pipe. No one really accounting for number 3 in white. He hammers it home.
Donville with a goal and 2 assists. The bench loves it. Goal and 2 assists in this game. He had a goal and 4 assists in the first win over Rutgers on this very field. See the numbers for Donville in the tournament. 𝗕𝗶𝗴 on a set play right off the draw, going to the cage. He sent that one wide. 3 seconds left in the half.
How about that face-off by 𝗕𝗏? It was almost like a pass out of the back of his stick.
Worked out beautifully. 𝗕𝗏𝗧, as the horn sounds, not able to pull the trigger in time. Logan Wisnauskas and the top-ranked Terrapins, the #1 seed in the Big Ten men's lacrosse tournament. Logan McNaney backstopping their efforts. It's 8-2 Terps after 30 minutes.
Tremendous performance by Maryland, and this was more like a death by 1,000 paper cuts in that first 30 minutes of action. It wasn't the quick, we're going to knock you upside your head and then that's going to be it. It was Rutgers was hanging around. They had opportunities to get closer, but the turnovers just really hampered Rutgers in that first half.
John Tillman joining us on the sideline, head coach for Maryland. John, how would you describe your defensive efforts in that opening 30?
Yeah, I thought we were on point. The guys are doing a good job of communicating, and just on-ball defense has been great, off-ball as well, and our inbound riding has been terrific. We've gotten a lot of second opportunities off those, and that's helped a lot because those are obviously possessions we don't have to defend.
Offensively, Coach, what's clicking right now for the Terps?
I'm not sure a lot's clicking per se. We've made some plays. I thought we got off to a decent start, and then I just feel like we've been stagnant. The ball's dying a little bit. So we just, we got a lot of good parts. They're very unselfish guys. I just felt like we kind of got away from some of our movement, and I'm sure they'll get back to it. It's a great group of guys, so I'm excited about kind of getting a break and then trying to get back to, kind of what we do. But give Rutgers credit. They got a lot of good athletes and a lot of good defenders.
Coach, thanks for spending some time with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Maryland head coach John Tillman. His charges on top 8-2 with Luke Weirman winning a lot of faceoffs. What else is new? The Terps have been stout defensively and high scoring on O. Highlights and more coming your way at the half. On the defensive end, the all-conference keeper matching wits with Logan McNaney. McNaney, all he does is win and sparkle while doing it.
He really does. You would have been proud of him on Thursday night, Joe. He ventured from the goal cage and made a save on the run in the defensive end. He looked like I said if he would, I would say it was an NFL cornerback sitting on a route and intercepting it, but it was more like Pop Warner just because of the size. But I tell you what, Logan McNaney continues to dazzle. He continues to impress in a very nondescript way, but like you said, all he does is win.
Banked a season-high 14 saves in that semifinal victory over Johns Hopkins. Rutgers chased down Ohio State from behind in the second half. 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗲𝗏 was outstanding in that come-from-behind effort. Rutgers needs to duplicate it against the #1 team and the top seed in this tournament.
You got to love the candor of Brian Breck. We're just not playing well. We got to cut out on the turnovers.
Donville slugs that one high, defended by 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏. Brian Brecht earlier in the season called Maryland machine-like. He says when you make mistakes, they make you pay. He's seen it again unfold tonight in College Park. Wisnauskas to the interior. Donville's jump shot fought off by Kirst.
Great save, and here comes Rutgers going the other way, trying to create some transition. Good hustle. And look who's back on defense. Logan Wisnauskas.
Willing to chip in, do a little bit of everything, huh?
Now you have to make the decision. Am I going to keep my shorty on and try to exploit a matchup if I can against Wisnauskas, or are they just going to play cat and mouse and maybe go 5-on-5? Actually, he's with a pole, so they might go 5-on-5 right now.
Zappatello's been on Ross Scott throughout the night. Around the pick from Cameron. Scott turns. Has the ball on his cross on the left side. 𝗕𝗵𝗴 right there with him. Stride for stride. 𝗕𝗵𝗴 on Knoblauch. Knoblauch gets the lane. Here comes Higgins to help. Shot clock's at 28. Knoblauch inverted. First team all-conference midfielder. Sneaky delivery there. He sent it high and wide. Backed up on the end line by Ross Scott. Scott this season 8 hat tricks. As he sprints in against 𝗕𝗵𝗴. Gets away from Makar and bowled that one wide of the net. Backed up by Brian Cameron.
Great recognition by the Maryland defense. When they had Wisnauskas down, they just talked them through.
McNaney sprinting to the end line, going to earn the ball for Maryland. Rutgers stays stuck on 2 goals.
That's the athleticism and awareness that we talk about with Logan McNaney. He just beat Ross Scott to the end line for a shot out of bounds. And you mean to tell me in a 20-yard foot race and a 15-yard foot race that McNaney is not going to get dusted every time by Ross Scott? That's just awareness and desire on the part of McNaney.
And the ball belongs to Maryland's Jack Corus. Corus, who is on the score sheet in the opening quarter tonight. Brennan wheels in. Picks up Murphy. Murphy against Coyne. Tommy Coyne, the former offensive midfielder who plays short stick D-mid, dropping the hammer on Murphy. Lightning quick midfielder slash attacker for Maryland. Molliver getting better and better as the season progresses. Kahn loosens up from Boswell. His ball down on the deck, shot clock at 20. A pass that gets away from Brennan, a rare turnover there for Maryland. It would have been a pretty precise night passing for them.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic, but credit Rutgers defense. They're beating up Maryland in that possession. The officials allowed, it was around a 50-50 push. They let it go, and it kind of threw Maryland off.
Officials tonight, Hans Wittelsberger, along with Chris 𝗕𝗵𝗴 and 𝗕𝗏𝗃, presiding over this Big Ten Tournament Championship game. Maryland turnover count is sitting at 7 after that one. Scott against 𝗕𝗵𝗴. Bring it back behind the goal. Cameron directing traffic with his defender hung up. Rahill affixed to him. Now Gallagher off the roll dodge against Fairman. Scores! A brilliant shot from Ryan Gallagher.
Gallagher has been doing it for a long time for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. The Atlanta, Georgia product has been a Swiss Army knife for Brian Brecht. He's played attack, he's played midfield, back to attack. Now he's in a midfield position, but he's inverted. And he takes Bubba Fairman to school. Nice little change of direction, crosses up big number 2, and I like how he got upfield an extra half step. We talked about that with Ross Scott earlier in the game. Scott operates closer to the goal than Gallagher, but Gallagher, make no mistake, that was a nice little whip into the far post.
Now can you get the possession back? Weirman is so good at saying no to that, and he goes right to the goal. Luke Weirman over top of the crossbar.
He is not only an equalizer, he is an advantage giver in all aspects of the word.
You mentioned that you and Pete Medhurst called the game against Hopkins in which he was just 10 for 22 at the face-off X. This is a guy who is 66% in the regular season.
Ridiculous numbers, and for my money, the most improved player in college lacrosse in 2022.
4 games over 70% this season. What a luxury that is when you have this kind of a high-powered offense. Kahn badgered by Daninger. Here comes the help. Jared Jean Felix there to double. Change the point of attack. Donville off the sweep. Then DeMaio walking the dog. DeMaio over the top. Keep the ball moving. Curse with a fine stop. Rebound. Kahn scores.
This is unbelievable. Ridiculous ball movement stick handling and sharing of the rock by this Maryland offense. Let's look at DeMaio, kind of launch that ball. Then you see Wisnauskas threads it to Owen Murphy. What a save by Colin Kirst. And here's what I got for your troubles. Two guys wide open, naked on the crease. Kahn picks it up, nothing Kirst can do, but that ball movement, Joe, in the radius of about 10, 12 yards with those 4 or 5 passes, no other team can do that in the country that I've seen this year consistently like Maryland does that. That's one of the things that separates them.
It doesn't stay in the stick, doesn't stay in the cross very long. So Rutgers, which ended a 28-plus minute drought with a goal from Gallagher, then Kahn responds before too long and makes it a 6-goal deficit again for Rutgers in red. Amon for Bartolo. Swing it to Knobloch. Circle it up back behind the cage. Cameron against Ray Hill. He'll offer it to the outside. 9-3 for the Terps. They led 2-zip, or rather by 5-2 after 1. This is ring towards McNaney. He crossed over, made the save. Beautiful outlet. Here comes 𝗕𝗵𝗴. 4-on-3 fast break. Kick it. Wisnauskas over the top. Score! Molliver!
Earlier this year, in the first meeting that we had with Rutgers and Maryland, when we talked about the NASCAR offense with Brian Brecht, he basically said, quite honestly, Maryland does NASCAR better than we do. And here it is right there. McNaney, popcorn, shot up top, doesn't really test him. Look at this gorgeous outlet pass to 𝗕𝗵𝗴 in full stride. Then the feed. The skip pass, Molliver then high to low. It doesn't get prettier than that in terms of transition lacrosse.
2 tallies, 62 seconds apart. Wisnauskas, who leads Maryland in goals, assists, and points, with a beautiful setup there for Molliver. Molliver with goals in 9 straight. Maryland has its largest lead at 10-3, and they have the ball. Weirman going to the cage again. That's got to be soul-crushing. You lose so many draws in a row to Weirman when your team is trying somehow to make a rally. It's hard to put goals back to back.
10-plus goals in 38 straight games now for the Maryland Terrapins. And you're right, Joe. I mean, you get that goal, that third goal that took so long to muster, and then you give up a rebound to Keegan Kahn and then a transition goal, and you can't get the ball back. You can't get those touches. You can't get those possessions that you desperately need to chip away at this Maryland lead.
Still a ton of time left in regulation. 7-goal deficit for the Scarlet Knights. 8 minutes to play in quarter 3.
And not only is Weirman winning the face-offs, he's winning them clean out the front door. It's not even a 50-50 contested situation. He's just winning it clean.
And he has goals in 4 of the last 6. Hasn't struck tonight, but he's threatened.
He's come close.
Shot clock's at 15. High heat from Chorus over top of the net. Backed up by Murphy. Owen Murphy, a 45% shooter on the season. As a team, Maryland is over 40%. Wisnauskas took his eyes off of that one. It's bounced down, and here comes Rutgers' Rawle. Rawle with a tremendous speed, right to the heart of the D. Score! Coast to coast. Brilliant effort from Ethan Rawle.
First team all Big Ten selection, long stick midfielder. He's taken his game to another level. When you think about the lineage of good, solid long stick midfielders for the Scarlet Knights, 𝗕𝗵𝗴 comes to mind, but look at the determination, look at the stick work. He walks the dog, runs by Jack Brennan and hammers it home, and then we've got a flag that flies late, and it gets a slash right there on Jack Brennan. Ethan Rawle letting everyone know that the Rutgers Scarlet Knights are, take your pick, man. Wow, a couple slashes to the head right there. We'll see how many of the officials throw into the sin bin.
10-4, an inspirational run right there from Ethan Rawle. Unanimous selection, first team all Big Ten.
Out of Islip, Long Island, Joe. They don't come tougher. a lot of guys don't come out tougher than an Islip.
Two-time captain there for Islip High School. Ethan Rawl. Procedure here on the draw against DeMaio. It'll give white-jerseyed Maryland the ball back.
Second time we've seen a man-up situation on a face-off tonight. Second time the officials have not even let them face off. They don't like the way guys are lining up. So another missed opportunity for Rutgers as it's Makar serving the 1 minute penalty for the slash. We'll see if Rutgers tries to double the ball and create a turnover as they do have an extra man.
First goal on the season for Rawl. He had 4 single assist games prior to this Big Ten championship game. Lacrosse on the Big Ten Network. Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon with you. Shout out of thanks to all the men and women in our technical crew, both here and in the Big Ten Network studios, for all their efforts, not only tonight, but all season long, as we bring the men's lacrosse campaign to a close on the Big Ten Network tonight. Donville swings a long way from the cage. Tommy Coyne's there with him. Short-handed Terps ragging time. Donville back to DeMaio. DeMaio already with 2 on the day. Wisnauskas, a low pass there that gets away from him. Then back come the Scarlet Knights. Boswell finds Bartolo. And it's 6-on-6 at this end.
You string a couple together, you're back in this game if you're Rutgers. Your defense is giving you some chances.
Coyne remembering his offensive footwork there, but McNaney made the stab.
Just thought that was a little hasty on the part of Tommy Coyne. I know you got to string some together quickly, but I just thought getting to the middle of the field like that, no slide from Maryland. They were almost inviting Coyne to take that shot. He did, and McNaney gobbles it up.
DeMaio gaining ground, feeds. Donville shoved off the angle. Defense turned in by Coyne. 5 minutes and change to go in the third. Neat move to get underneath. Kearse was waiting there at the end of the line. Gene Felix comes up with the ground ball, and Rutgers starts back.
If you're looking for a silver lining tonight, if you're Rutgers, you got to like the defense that you've seen. You know, again, I see Rutgers getting a home game in the NCAA tournament, the opening round. I see them matching up with a team like Cornell, potentially. Maybe the University of Virginia, if they decide to send Virginia on the road.
Great goal from Scott. He fired that one to the top corner after a beautiful clear from Rutgers. They're the second best clearing team in the nation. Scott at the business end on the offense.
This is Ross Scott. Quicker than a hiccup. He loves to dodge from X. It's speed, change of direction, and look at the extra step that he gets above goal line extended to increase his angle. Can Rutgers make a run? They are certainly trying.
First time with back-to-back goals on the night. The Knights love it here in College Park. On out by Bobby Russo. Russo was the Sportsmanship Award winner for the Scarlet Knights this season.
And this is the time. This is the time where Rutgers needs to start executing offensively. You got 2 goals in a row. You've cut the lead in half. Let's go to work.
It took them 34 minutes to get 2 goals, and now they have 3 tallies in the last 6 since ending the drought. 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Knobloch doubled. Jacoby, then Bartolo fires. Great stop there by McNaney. That was a tough bounce shot.
That is the look they wanted. If you're Rutgers, you get the big man, 6'6", the Leviathan, Mitch Bartolo, staring down your 5'8" goalie Logan McNaney, and McNaney comes up with a terrific save.
Leviathan.
He is.
Is that a whale?
No.
Leviathan's just a big creature?
Yeah, with like long arms, and I remember the name. It was remember Mikhail Gross,
Sure.
The swimmer. Back in, they used to call him, I think, the Leviathan because of his length and stuff like that. And it's always stuck with me. And Bartolo, he might not be a swimmer, but man, he can shoot.
DeMaio Speaking of shoot, to the roof.
Wow. Just wow. When you look at DeMaio and Long, their speed, their athleticism, that's enough to get you on pretty much any first midfield in the country. But when you take into consideration the way they can sling the rock, Bartolo gets the look. How about the poise and the fundamentals of McNaney just to stay with it? Long finds his line mate, and wow, what a rip by DeMaio. These two are like body doubles and just play at another level in terms of athleticism and the ability to shoot the rock.
Weirman wins the draw. They had Rawl out there to take it to just try and create a ground ball circumstance. Maryland, at least 9 goals in the last 21 meetings with Rutgers. They stand at 11 right now with a little less than 2 minutes to go in quarter 3. 7 of those markers tonight have been assisted. Tail end of the third quarter, 100 seconds left in it. DeMaio jogging in from the top. DeMaio off the feed. Whip shot, score! In no time, Murphy tacks on another.
Murphy and Molliver are interchangeable parts, and their flexibility allows assistant coach Bobby Benson, the offensive coordinator, to pick and choose where he wants to put them, how he wants to use them. Murphy just leaks out from the attack position. Terrific off-ball movement, the find, the finish. Maryland has answered the mini Rutgers run.
See the raindrops on the helmet of Murphy. Precipitation most of the game. Started as a drizzle, it picked up in the second quarter. Just been a genuine nuisance throughout the night. Rainy and raw, windy here at Maryland Stadium in College Park. The Terps, with a couple of goals less than 40 seconds apart, have made it to a 12-5 game late in the third quarter.
You know, again, Bobby Benson, what he's done with this Maryland offense, inheriting it from J.L. Reppert when J.L. took the head coaching job at Holy Cross. A couple job openings popped up this week, one of which is at Providence. And I think Bobby Benson would be a perfect fit for the Friars if he's interested in that job. They've got some offensive talent to work with. And what's more, his wife is a graduate of Providence.
Ah, now I see where you're connecting some of the dots.
So she may not be adverse to moving up north.
Good stick check there. Turnover created by Maryland's defense. Benson's counterpart on the Rutgers sideline is Eric Saramet. Closing in. Puglisi on the feed. Jump shot. Molliver! He scores. Maryland is prone to big goal-scoring runs, and they're heating up now.
Number 2 of the interchangeable parts. You had thing 1, Owen Murphy. This is thing 2, Eric Molliver, trotting off to take another shift at midfield. Look at Geppert, patiently waiting, hits Puglisi, and Puglisi, he's got a number of goals this year. He could have easily ripped that and gotten his name in the paper and a date for the prom. But instead, he's going to get the helper as he makes the one more, the unselfishness that Bobby Benson preaches, what these Maryland Terrapins employ. It is fun to watch.
Molliver hits the net 80% of the time. He scores 44% of the time. He has 23 on the season. The lead is 8. Just when Rutgers clawed its way back to a handful, 5 down, the Terps flipped the switch.
Instant offense, the microwave offense, if you will. They heat up quick.
Do they ever? Final 3 seconds of the quarter. And the horn sounds. Maryland, the top team in the land, the #1 offense per game, now opening up its largest lead in this championship game. We'll have more on the Big Ten Network right after these words. Here's what they're fighting for, the Big Ten Men's Tournament Championship game. Maryland back-to-back, the celebrations, Johns Hopkins factoring in, Penn State in dramatic fashion in 2019, then fast forward to 2021 as the Terps look for another one with a scoreboard divvied up into quarters. It is 13-5 now for Maryland as they continue to rain down goals at home, 10 or more in every home game since 2016.
It's impressive, and Maryland has just figured it out. You know, with this group, they're so athletic, they're so unselfish, and winning this automatic qualifier, it's a big deal. You know, it is a big deal. I know John Tillman had talked to us earlier in the season. Last year when they won the Big Ten, people were like, well, why were you guys so excited to run around the field with a Big Ten trophy? Everybody, you dominated the Big Ten. It's like, these guys put a lot of hard work into this. It's really, really special when you win a championship as a team. And, you know, congratulations to all the AQ qualifiers today, you know, Manhattan, St. Joe's. Just the excitement that these kids feel from winning a conference championship and knowing you're going to the NCAA tournament. It's an amazing feeling.
Still 15 minutes to go in regulation. 𝗕𝗏 overruns this one. It's a ground ball scoop for 𝗕𝗶𝗴 𝗧𝗲𝗃. Scarlet Knights in the red jerseys looking to activate their offense now. That one snapped wide by Cameron. Maryland 6-0 all-time in the Big Ten tournament when they post at least 12 goals in a game. They're at 13 now and counting.
If you're Rutgers, these first 5 minutes are going to be critical. It's going to determine whether or not you're going to have an opportunity to come back in this game, or if it's just going to be another loss to Maryland.
It's really the last hill for them to climb with respect to playing in the Big Ten Conference.
It is.
0-10 against Maryland as conference rivals. Jacoby, skip it. Nice catch there by Gallagher. Working in against Smith. Great look, score! Cameron.
You gotta love the recognition. This is a Maryland-esque goal for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Terrific ball movement. You get the Maryland defense spinning. Look at Gallagher with the great look across. I mean, Gallagher was looking to transition that ball to X, and Cameron noticed ball watching on the part of his defender from Maryland. He front swings, cakes the feed, and roofs it. That's pretty offense.
Around this time last year, Brian Cameron would have been playing against Rutgers with the North Carolina Tar Heels around NCAA tournament quarterfinals time. 𝗕𝗏 gets the face-off win. Luke 𝗕𝗏 was originally headed for Fairfield. John Tillman told us that Andy Copeland mentioned, you know, keep your eyes out for this player. And 𝗕𝗏 has just progressed to being a huge weapon in College Park.
Yeah, Copeland was leaving Fairfield to go coach in the Premier Lacrosse League for the Water Dogs. And he knew when he was leaving that 𝗕𝗏 may be looking for a new home. Copeland, a former assistant here in College Park, gave John Tillman a heads up, and the rest is history. Again, the level of improvement from Luke 𝗕𝗏 from last year to this year is astronomical. And you think about his summer, Joe. Think about his winter. Picturing that last shot probably over and over again against Alex Road. What could I have done differently? Should I have passed it? Could I have shot it here, shot it there? It's a lot for a young athlete to process, and man, he's come out back with a vengeance at 22.
Wisnauskas sends that one over top of the cage. They sprint to the end line. Chorus is hustled. Keeps the ball in Maryland possession. 10 seconds on the shot clock against Følzkowiak. Nice pass. It was just getting away from Murphy. Yanked high there. There's a flag hitting the turf.
It's going to be on Jared Jean Felix of Rutgers behind the play.
Fouls on red. 81 red.
Hans Wittelsberger relaying that penalty. Yeah, it looks like Dean Felix thought Murphy still had the ball. Delivers the check away from the play and got a little bit of his helmet as well. That earns him up to a minute.
Second man up for Maryland on the night, 0 for 1. They didn't cash in their semifinal win on extra man against Hopkins. Kahn for Donville. Murphy, then DeMaio. Change the formation. Wisnauskas with a bullet.
Logan Wisnauskas is good at lacrosse. This is his specialty. You think about all the different things that Logan Wisnauskas can do these days: cutting, feeding, shooting, on the run. But this is his forte. When he gets his feet set, clean look at cage, that thing 9 times out of 10 is going to find rope. And that's exactly what he does on that one. Great hesitation by DeMaio to kind of lull the defense to sleep. Quick flick to Wisnauskas, and he stings it.
7 times this season with 4 or more goals in a game, Logan Wisnauskas had 4 + 3 = 7 against Johns Hopkins in the semis. Weirman going to the cage, fought off there at the end of the line.
Kirst, another brilliant save.
He has made some gems tonight.
And that's what we saw last year. The disappointment of the semifinal loss in the Big Ten tournament by Rutgers to Johns Hopkins just really seemed to motivate Colin Kirst. He was sterling in their first round playoff win against Lehigh, and he was great against North Carolina. A loss in the quarterfinals, and it just seems like Colin Kirst is the kind of player, the bigger the stakes, the bigger he plays. And you know, tonight he's had a terrific effort despite giving up 14 goals.
15 saves in the first meeting, had a dozen stops against Ohio State in the semis. Single game high is 19 this year for Kirst. That came early in the year against Marist. Bartolo rolling back, 𝗕𝗶𝗴 sidewinder, missed the target.
And you got to credit Maryland. I mean, obviously Rutgers has had a lot of turnovers, 13 in the first half, and they've been a little out of sync offensively, but that in large part is due to Maryland and the way they've played.
Step down drive there from Bartolo, among the top 7 goal scorers in the Big Ten this season. Number 1 against number 2. The top 2 seeds in the men's Big Ten lacrosse tournament squaring off tonight. Number 1 overall team in the nation on the lead. Quick passing, that rattles around the frame and out. Ross Scott hungry for another tally. Gallagher sprinting in against Rahill. Puglisi was there to help. Knobloch looking over the top. Plenty of time on the shot clock. Knobloch, that Whistler goes wide. It'll stay Rutgers ball. Almost 5 minutes into the 4th.
Nice long extended possession. Brian Breck recognizes the opportunity and takes the timeout.
Shall we step away? We'll get you back to Maryland Stadium in College Park in just a few moments. John Tillman pleased with what he's seen. Many of the sights and sounds and celebrations of this contest, the Big Ten championship game, 2 netminders squaring off. Both of them have performed extremely well. And with respect to the Terrapin netminders through the years, it's been a good group.
You talk about an esteemed group of netminders. Before Kyle Bernlohr was even Nico Amato, he was terrific. But Bernlohr, a first-team All-American. Dan Morris won the national championship back in 2017. Danny Dolan was all Big Ten tournament in 2019. And look at Logan McNaney. How would you have liked that career record?
Yeah, that'll work.
30-1 at Bowdoin.
That'll be just fine.
I mean, that is
30-1 at Bowdoin. It's statue time.
But I mean, that one loss, Joe, that one loss was in that last year's national championship game. And this is a Maryland team that, who can beat them? You know, you start that question. I know John Tillman's tired of it already. I mean, he was tired of it 3 weeks ago, but who can beat this Maryland ball club?
On the way down, that's just sent wide by Scott. Sellout effort from Fairman defensively. They'll give the ball to Gallagher and Rutgers in red. 14-6, Terps have the advantage. Angling for win number 14 on the season against no defeats.
We mentioned for Rutgers, Knobloch and Gallagher getting involved in this game, and Knobloch just hasn't gotten on track. And look at McNaney.
Scampering to the end line to win the ball.
This Maryland team just doesn't stop.
Logan would have done well in Bowdoin, like you mentioned. He would have surpassed the old blocker's numbers for sure. He is terrific.
I think you're just thankful that he didn't come along at the same time you did to compete for the job together.
I'd be on the bench, as I was for most of my career, until the senior year. Senior year was all right.
That was yours. That was when the Bowdoin blocker became legend.
Easy on legend. DeMaio on the go. Hawked there by Rawl, who had one of the finest goals of the night end-to-end for his first of the season for Rutgers. Long is inverted. The midfielder working below the goal line. Skip it over the top. On the go, Donville against 𝗕𝗶𝗴 𝗧𝗲𝗺. Jump shot, score! DeMaio. DeMaio's fourth of the night.
The Turner boys are doing backflips in Anne Arundel County. They love it. The Maryland Terrapins continue to pour it on and play their best lacrosse. It's a couple days after Cinco de Mayo, but he's still celebrating. What an incredible shooter Anthony DeMaio has turned into. And remember, Joe, 8 Maryland Terrapins made the All Big Ten team. Anthony DeMaio is not one of them. They're only allowed to nominate 8.
Yep.
And he doesn't care. He just continues to produce. He continues to score goals. And his shooting tonight has been next level.
Goals in 10 straight. Weirman getting the better there of the face-off efforts of Michael Ott. Maryland with 19 face-off wins thanks to Weirman. DeMaio scored his first hat trick of the season in the semifinal win over Johns Hopkins. Gone back-to-back in that regard. +1 tonight. The lead grows to 9. Chorus will kick it. Kahn for Chorus again against Daninger. Bounce shot, scores. Jack Chorus. And the drumbeat continues.
In high school, Chorus was an initiator and a dodger, but he still possessed the ability to distribute the ball and cut with the best of them. In this offense, he's a cutter, but he can still show that he has dodging ability. Gets a few yards above goal line extended and sends it far post. This is a Maryland team with a second midfield that is as good as, or maybe even better than a lot of first midfields around the nation. Just a great luxury to have. And again, that third spot is a rotation between Mulliver and Murphy, both matchup nightmares, because then you have to decide who you're going to put the pole on. And if it's not Murphy or Mulliver, when they see short sticks, that is a party about to erupt.
Weirman does it again, another face-off win. Tim and Jen's baby boy doing just fine at the face-off X. Chorus, who played his high school ball not far from here at Loyola, gets on the score sheet for the second time. The lead grows to 10. Brennan working against Amish. Maryland's #1 there. Logan Wisnauskas. This drive on the run, another scorcher from Brennan as the Terrapins are taking off offensively.
It's all over but the crying now. Rutgers had a fighting chance with a couple of goals in the third quarter. That nice goal, Gallagher to Cameron, gave him a little bit of a spark, but it's been stomped out. Rutgers just looks tired, and they should be. They've been playing a ton of defense, and this Maryland offense is relentless. Brennan gets to the middle of the field, top bars it, Beautiful shot. Again, the second midfield, they are a handful.
Earlier in the season, Rutgers head coach Brian Breck called Maryland the bluest of blue bloods nationally, always engaged, ready to pounce. The Terrapins have pounced on matters in this fourth quarter, upping the ante to the tune of 17-6 now, still with 7 minutes to play. Cameron against Rahill with help coming from Fairman. Rutgers, a mark of 13-2. Terps with the last 3 tallies in about 90 seconds to blow this one wide open. Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon with you. Lacrosse on the Big Ten Network. 35th all-time meeting between these two schools, and Rutgers has only prevailed 1 time. Snapshot whistled wide by Ronan Jacoby, second-team all-conference midfielder. The Terps starting to make some substitutions. In the cage, you'll see Drew Morris. Gallagher on the go, getting downhill against Higgins. Turnover there. Big Ten Defender of the Year, Makar makes the clearing effort. Bubba Fairman will jog it ahead with 6 minutes to play in this title game. The song remains the same for Maryland.
It really does. And now they wait for Selection Sunday to see what they get NCAA tournament-wise. Again, they will be the #1 seed. They'll probably get a play-in game winner. It could be the MAC champion versus potentially maybe a Delaware.
9 and white is Gabe Goforth, working with Ryan Siracusa. Third midfield unit getting its first turn on the night for Maryland. Lost possession there with 5:20 to go in the fourth, separating Maryland from another Big Ten title.
How about this for a potential second-round matchup? Maybe Maryland-Virginia in the quarterfinals.
Ooh.
I mean, if you look at that #1, I could see Brown getting the 8 and hosting Virginia. Maybe Virginia gets the 8 and host Brown. You can flip-flop those two.
Morris will clear. Gibbons will bring it ahead. Garrett Gibbons wears 24 in the white. Less than 5 to play. Maryland so disruptive on defense early in this game, and now explosive on offense late. They've won 38 straight games when they've held an opponent under 10 goals. They've limited a very good Rutgers offense to just 6 so far.
And you thought Rutgers, much like Thursday night against Ohio State, was going to turn it on in the second half, and that just didn't happen. And you got to credit Logan McNaney with some timely saves. And then this Maryland defense, they've come to play. They are really the forgotten group amongst this bulldozer Terrapin team in 2022.
Charlie Corus is out there, 14 in white. See Daniel Kelly and Daniel Maltz getting off the bench at attack as well for the Terps. Kirst snaps this one, a frozen rope on the outlet right there for Ronan Jacoby as he works in with Mike Sanguinetti. Michael Sanguinetti, the senior from New Jersey, held without a goal in each of the last 6 games, hasn't been on the sheet tonight. Rutgers trailing by 11.
If you're Rutgers, you just try to pick up the pieces. You take in the selection show tomorrow night. I think they'll get a home game. Otherwise, they are in this NCAA tournament field.
Inside roll, Cameron misfiring there on Morris. Scarlet Knights came into this game having won 7 of their last 8. Talked about their 13 wins, a new program record. They've been really good in tight games this season. They've gone 7-0 in games that were decided by 3 goals or less. This one tonight, not close, with 3 minutes to go.
And who knows if these guys will meet again in the NCAA tournament But if that doesn't happen, it's another 9-10 months for Brian Breck and his staff to try to figure out how do they get this monkey off their back. The Maryland Terrapins, the only Big Ten team they haven't been able to best.
Morris made the save on Bartolo. A win tonight would have given Rutgers the first Big Ten title for any Rutgers men's program since they joined the Big Ten in 2014. Not to be this time around in Maryland.
Well, the women will have their opportunity tomorrow
Yes.
against the University of Maryland. And, you know, that's a Rutgers team that Melissa Lehman has just done such a terrific job with those Scarlet Knights, the women's lacrosse players. Cassidy Spillis, TT Naslansky, Megan Ball, 𝗕𝗲𝗄 𝗧𝗲𝗺 has really solidified that goaltender position. They'll have their hands full against a Maryland team with their own netminder, Emily Sterling, Abby Bosco leading the defense. Rory Cordingley is an incredible goal scorer for that Maryland women's team.
Maryland head coach Kathy Reese on the verge of a milestone win. You mentioned Megan Ball in consideration for Big Ten Defender of the Year. Childhood friends with Bobby Russo out there playing defense for the Scarlet Knights, 88 in the red. With 90 seconds to go, Raw will bring it ahead. 𝗵𝗺 slicing between Maryland defenders. This was a 5-2 Terps advantage after the first 15 minutes. This drive fought off by Morris. Maryland had the 8-2 lead at the halftime break. Look at all the hustle still on display from the Terps. Jack McDonald there selling out, defending against Cameron, who loses him back behind the cage and scores a beauty. Hide and seek for Brian Cameron.
If I'm Brian Brecht, I might give my reserves a little taste of Big Ten championship game action. This game is decided. You're going to have your guys fresh for next week. Cameron, though, he continues to play hard. Nice change of direction at X. And that Rutgers, a lot of those guys, they love that little goal line extended bounce shot. We've seen Ross Scott do it, Ryan Gallagher. And now we have Cameron. That's something that they work on quite a bit with offensive coordinator Eric Saramet.
Misty rain continues here at Maryland Stadium in the final minute as the Terps get control of another draw. Backpedaling away, it's Daniel Kelly. The Terps can hold it. They have a 10-goal advantage and just 44 seconds away from another Big Ten tournament title. As sound as they have been all season, this another convincing win on the mantle. Dawson Wynn jogging out the remaining time, 25 seconds to go. A hearty crowd. This has been a tough night to come on out and watch lacrosse with temps in the 40s and rainy, raw conditions, but a hearty crowd rising to its feet to salute a worthy champion. The Maryland Terrapins, 14-0, Big Ten tournament title, matching the regular season crown. They win it in the tournament. Wisnauskas, McNaney, and Tillman, and on for Maryland, 17-7.
How sweet it is for Maryland. Celebrating championships never gets old. And they are the first host to ever take home the trophy on their home soil. Congratulations to the Maryland Terrapins. Really a dominating effort tonight against a very good NCAA tournament-bound Rutgers Scarlet Knights lacrosse team. Rutgers,
Among the top 10 scoring teams in the nation, their two lowest scoring games of the season, both against Maryland. 9 goals the first time around, and then the lowest output of the season for Rutgers, the 7 tonight in the Big Ten title game.
We talked about it on Thursday night, Rutgers having the number of Ohio State. Multiply that by 1,000 when it comes to the Maryland-Rutgers lacrosse series. They just can't figure out how to beat the Maryland Terrapins. They've had triple overtime games. They've had late leads in games where the Terps have come back. They've gotten blown out. I mean, they've lost games every which way to this Maryland lacrosse team, but now it's time to recalibrate, refocus, get ready for the NCAA tournament, and for the University of Maryland is to keep all that white noise out. All of that, all of those distractions, greatest team ever, unbeatable, this, and this. It's now brass tack season and time to get down to business in terms of the NCAA tournament.
Maryland has won its last 11 straight home games against ranked teams. They do the job against Rutgers tonight by a 17-7 final. 15 or more tallies in a game 9 straight times for Logan Wisnauskas and his troops. That's a school record. They did so much in the record-setting department a season ago, and this year they're trying to duplicate it and then some.
Yeah, without question. And there you see Logan Wisnauskas, all smiles. Logan McNaney, well, he's not smiling, but we know he's happy. We saw him running off the bench celebrating the championship. This is a very good Maryland team, and it's a very good Rutgers team, and Maryland just continues to, I can't say defy expectations, but because the expectations are so high. I mean, this is championship or bust for this University of Maryland team, without question.
Wisnauskas 4-3 in the semis, 4-3 in the championship game, and Maryland, of course, winning once more when he gets 7 or more points, 13 straight times. It's a Rutgers team that beat 4 ranked teams this spring. They can hold their heads high with a mark of 13-3.
No question, without question. And you look at the job Brian Brecht has done with this Rutgers program. He's strengthened their schedule. He's made it cool to come to Rutgers. I mean, he said it, you know, we go out and find guys. It's not like guys are beating our door down to come be a Scarlet Knight. You know, we go out, we recruit hard, and we find guys, and they've also done a great job mining the transfer portal. And it's paid dividends for this Rutgers team. They just continue to get better and better every year. And, you know, it's exciting at this point in time to be a Rutgers lacrosse fan.
Championship t-shirts and the hardware about to be doled out. Logan Wisnauskas jogging in to earn his share. A fabulous performance once again for Maryland's all-time leading point scorer in their fabled history. 17-7, they knock off Rutgers in this Big Ten championship game. A game that they led at the break 8-2 and then distanced themselves from Brian Brecht and the Scarlet Knights. Unanimous head coach of the Big Ten, Coach of the Year, John Tillman, exchanging congratulations and well wishes. And the championship trophy belongs to the Terps in 2022.
It does. To the victors go the spoils. And Maryland is going to get their hands on that hardware. And like we said, you know, we saw it earlier today with Manhattan winning their conference, St. Joe's, Georgetown. It's just an incredible feeling when you work so hard all year and you get into that conference play and it's so nip and tuck, and when you can go out and win that championship, it's just really the culmination of a lot of hard work, a lot of discipline, a lot of tight games, a lot of tough practices, and Maryland right now is about to get their hands on it, enjoy the fruits of their labor.
A season ago, Maryland 15-1, 10-0 in conference play. They were the Big Ten regular season and Big Ten tournament champs, a feat that they duplicate this season. Winning tonight on a frigid night for early May, a 17-7 count as they take down Rutgers. The victorious Terps waiting patiently to get their hands on that championship trophy.
They're like, hey, it's a little chilly out here. Can we get this party underway?
John Tillman's team, the class of the conference again. and doing so decisively, convincingly tonight over Rutgers.
Number 1, Logan Wisnauskas.
Most valuable player, Logan Wisnauskas.
It looked like he was late to the T-shirt party. I'm just glad there were nothing, that only mediums weren't left.
It fits.
For him.
It fits.
It's a great fit. Congratulations, Logan Wisnauskas. A brilliant game.
So does the hat. 7 more points for Wisnauskas. Just devastating shooter is he. Converting 48% of his shots this season. And here we go.
Here to present the Maryland Terrapins with the Big Ten Tournament Trophy is Wendy Fallon from the Big Ten office.
All righty, fellas, it's all yours.
Wendy Fallon from the Big Ten Conference hands it over and let the party begin.
Another Saturday night of jumping for joy for the Maryland Terrapins. Unanimous #1 team in the nation. The top seed in this Big Ten tournament. And proving their mettle with a 10-goal win over second-seeded Rutgers. The photo opportunity that they will put into an album full of them this season, Mark. The next tournament is the big one, when they will more than likely be cast as the top seed in the NCAA tournament.
Hey, without a doubt, that is the ultimate goal, the ultimate prize, but you have to enjoy the journey. And these are memories that these players, coaches, they're going to have for a lifetime. 10, 20, 30 years down the line, they're going to be connected as Big Ten champions, part of the Maryland Terrapins of 2022, and it's something you cannot take away from these guys.
They knocked off Johns Hopkins in the semifinals. It's the first time they've ever beaten their arch rival Blue Jays 5 straight times. As the Terps down the Scarlet Knights tonight, 17-7. We're joined by face-off man extraordinaire Luke Weirman. Luke, when you think about the performance tonight, especially on the defensive end, what comes to mind?
Those guys are just unbelievable down there. They're a huge part of our team. We got a lot of older guys that all run this team. We all look up to them, and just to see them get to be able to do this again is just really awesome. And just like we're really proud of these guys and just happy to keep going.
Oftentimes, Luke, when a face-off man goes 50%, it's okay. And you went 50% on Thursday night, and people are like, what's wrong with Luke Weirman? Why was he only 50% tonight? What changed between now and then, and how do you take a performance like that, evaluate it, and then up your game for the next time out?
I think this week we just, these past couple of days, we, our scout guys in practice really did a good job replicating Rutgers' game plan and how their strategies. And, that was a big help. And also just the wing guys that we got out there, they do a great job of just communicating with me and, trying to help me get the ball to, where only we can get it. And, we just really focused on just kind of putting the ball where only we can get it tonight. And I think that was a big part of it.
When you get to be a part of this Maryland Terrapin team and the offense that you get possession after possession for, what's it like? What's the gratification that you take away from that, being part of such an incredible offensive unit, but knowing that you're the man, you're the oil that kind of starts that engine?
Well, yeah, I'd just say that, as a face-off guy, I think every face-off guy would say this, it's much nicer when your team's scoring and you're going out there to take a face-off. But, no matter the circumstance, I feel comfortable out there with my guys. They do a great job, help me out on the wings. And I think just the trust we have in each other, early offense, stuff like that and everything goes a long way.
Luke, we appreciate your thoughts. Best wishes moving forward.
I appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Luke Weirman and the victorious Maryland Terrapins, 2022 Big Ten Men's Lacrosse champions. As we've detailed on the Big Ten Network tonight, Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon, some final thoughts from you with respect to Maryland. They're going to be the favorite as they move forward. If you're scouting them, trying to put a finger as to how perhaps to take them down, where do you start?
First, I pray.
Yes.
That's the first thing. But no, honestly, it starts right there at the face-off dot with Luke Weirman. Do I have a face-off man that can at least neutralize him? But not only that, do I have wings that can help my face-off man, if he is able to win, keep pressure off of him and get the extra possessions that you need to beat the University of Maryland? The other thing I'm looking at, how do I defend this offense? How do I defend the ball movement, the slickness, the positionless attitude, and how do I put my goalie in a situation not only to make saves, but to get the ball up and out and successfully clear, so this offense of Maryland isn't consistently getting second and third possessions to keep that pressure on? I think those are the two big things, but there's a whole other host behind that as well.
They have been unbeatable this season, and they carry a lot of Big Ten pride into the NCAA tournament, where they are favored perhaps to win it all. John Tillman and the Terps 17-7 victors over Rutgers in the Big Ten Men's Championship game. Too much turtle power tonight as we send you to the studio. Here's Rick Pizzo with a big show.